Hey everyone, good morning and good evening. So let's start with today's session and let's continue the topic Agile and Scrum. So, quick recap from the yesterday's session. We spoke about Agile process. Firstly, we spoke about what exactly is waterfall, how the waterfall model is straight and a linear model, and how it has helped in software development. Later, we went into Agile. We looked into the key principles in Agile. These are two principles of Agiles and Scrum, and the importance of Scrum Master and a product owner. Then we talked about the Scrum flow, the Scrum methodology, which you will come across a lot when you start working in a team who follows Scrum or Agile process. Okay, so this is something we have done till now. The next set of process, which is lean development process and kanban. Okay, so lean development process, it's a software development process which is basically taken in from lean manufacturing. Now during 90s, okay, when the software development was not getting pushed at a very higher rate, there were other fields in the world which was booming a lot. The manufacturing fields, okay, wherein it was moving at a very drastic rate, and all over the globally they were able to manufacture and they were able to distribute their product globally. That is something was happening during 90s, and that has interested many software developers, that how come we are not able to do things at a faster rate, we are not able to develop quality software on time, and these person, they are doing the same stuff, they're creating the product, they're distributing the product, and then too they're distributing things globally. How come they're doing? And because of this interest, many of them started visiting these manufacturing companies, okay, just to go and see what process do they follow, what are the commitment they do, and what all things they do in order to achieve this. So if you have I don't know if anyone has read the book, uh, the Bill Gates book. Even Bill Gates was a person who has visited Japan Sony company just to see how Sony is doing this. So at that time Sony was very in demand. Sony was like distributing the cassettes and the audio tapes all over the world, okay, not just in Japan but all over the world. So they visited just to see how exactly they do the manufacturing, how flawlessly they are able to manage all this, okay. So what they have found out, that they are using some sort of lean manufacturing technique, just a just in time process, through which they are able to do these things flawlessly. So I'm not going in depth what exactly the technique is all about, but using this technique they are able to deliver, manufacture and distribute the products flawlessly. That is what they have found out, and they have accommodated the same thing in software development during that time. Now the lean manufacturing process is now known as lean software development. The exact same thing, they have copy pasted the same thing, the same technique in lean software development. So basically this is nothing but it's a set of principle to deliver software according to the lean principles of lean manufacturing, okay. So this is all about just in time process, Six Sigma. Just to give you an example of just in time, let me give you a different example through which you'll understand the lean manufacturing. If you have visited even now to any car service company or to any bike service company, okay, you will see a very big whiteboard over there, okay. In that whiteboard they will have columns created. At the extreme left you will see the number of cars, numbers will be given over there, and you will see one more column in progress, done, and delivered. So such columns you will you will see in a manufacturing whenever you go and visit any manufacturing service companies. Okay, so what exactly they are doing? They are taking only that much of car which they can deliver today itself. So like suppose if they can service a 35 odd cars in a day, so they will just take 35 cars, so only that backlogs will be created. They will have 35 cars backlog, and all the representative will be working on those cars backlog. So they will take one car from the backlog, they will put it in progress, they will start the servicing. Once they are done with the servicing, they will move it from the left to right, done, completed. This way, whatever they have started at the day, when the day start, they took 35 cars. When the day ends, they are able to complete that backlog. Okay, so just that is called as just in time. Okay, and this complete process, the whiteboard, what they are following, this complete process is known as lean manufacturing process. Okay, and based on this lean manufacturing, they have developed, the software guys have developed lean software development process. Okay, and the whiteboard and the sticky notes which is moving from left to right is known as kanban boards. Okay, this is a kanban board which we are still using nowadays, and nowadays we are using at a very high pace, this kanban boards. So even in wherever you go now, wherever you do a work item management, you will find this kanban board. This is how this board will look like. Now the only difference is this is not the physical board or how the in the lean world, manufacturing world they have. In software world we have virtual board. Okay, and you will have something like all your backlogs which you are working in the current sprint. Now this is not day over here. Now this will be sprint, like you have 2-week sprint, 4-week sprint. In a current sprint, how many user stories you will be working on, that comes as a backlog. How many are planned, how many are in progress, how many have been developed, how many have been tested, how many have been completed. So this is how the kanban board will take care of things. So your sticky note, that is something called as kanban, which will be moving from left to right. As soon as your work is done, your backlog will be start moving from left to right, and eventually your backlogs will be completed. So this kanban board was inspired from lean manufacturing process. Okay, there is a very good book you guys should read if you want to understand DevOps in depth. It's not a technical book or something like that if you're expecting any technicality out of it. So no, the Phoenix project. So whenever you get time, just go through this book. It's not a technical book at all, guys, so don't go with an expectation that you will learn some technicality over there. It's a story kind of thing, how a company was struggling to do deployment, how the company was about to fail, how they have adopted, how they have collaborated, operational and this development team came together, they started doing things together, and how it has changed the complete paradigm of the company, and how the company was successfully able to deliver things and was successful, and later they started with multiple other projects. So this is a very good book. Whenever you get time, just go and read through it, the Phoenix project. Okay, over there you'll understand all this, how exactly DevOps came in picture, the complete history of DevOps in a storyline. Okay, so yeah, this is what Kanban is all about. So now Kanban is a scheduling system for lean and just-in-time process. It's a virtual cart called Kanban that moves through the process from start to finish. The aim is to keep constant flow of Kanban so that inventory is required at the end of the process, just that much is created at the start. So whatever inventory you have created, backlogs you have created at the start, at the end of the sprint you are able to fulfill the backlog. That is the whole purpose of Kanban. Now why do I cover Kanban? Kanban is something you'll be using it now. So whatever process you select in Azure DevOps, whether you select Agile, whether you select Scrum, you will have this Kanban board, or whether you go with Jira. over there also you will see this kanban board. Nowadays even GitLab has work item management. So GitLab is basically using very minimalistic approach, but it still has this board. So everyone is including this kanban because this gives you a look and feel how your backlogs. So by just seeing the board, you'll come to know how many backlogs, how many user stories are there in the backlog, how many user story got completed. So by seeing the board, and anyone can tell. So because this makes things very easier, it's still there in as a part of software development nowadays. Okay, so yeah, so this is the kanban board for you guys. Now the actual DevOps loop comes in. Now DevOps is not just about development, as you have seen earlier. All the Agile, Scrum, and whatever we spoke about till now, this was all about development. Now the development, and that's it. Okay. Now wherein in DevOps we are not just talking about development, we are talking about the complete loop, starting from planning, ending with monitoring. Everything we are talking about: planning, coding, building, testing, release, deployment, operations, monitoring. So this is a continuous loop. So your continuous planning, continuous deployment, your continuous testing, release, monitoring, feedback, and optimization. This is how DevOps works. Now everyone is responsible over here. Now the developer can't say no, I'm done with your development, you can do and your operational work by yourself. No, everyone is involved everywhere. If you see this planning section, the developers start the planning. Until the testing, you have the developer who is doing a continuous release and deployment. He is still part over here. The developers are still part over here. Until the operational, everyone is part. If you see this arrow at the bottom, it starts from the planning, ends at the operations. So everyone is included, everyone is part, and everyone is in sync what's happening right now. If there's a new feature getting created, even the DevOps engineer is aware what this feature is, how this feature will impact the current state, how what changes will happen, what are the API calls which is happening in the backend, what all services are getting impacted. Every knowledge which is required, everyone has those knowledge nowadays. Okay, so what is the why do we need this knowledge? If anything goes bad, you don't have to reach out to developer each time, you can fix it by yourself. Okay, so that is the benefit of imparting knowledge to others, because you don't have to jump back here and there. You can still go and do the debugging, you can still fix the level 1 and level 2 things. You don't need to reach out to developers for small things. Okay, plus this complete build and deployment is taken care by the DevOps engineers, so it is mandatory for them to understand the flow of the application, because without flow you cannot automate anything. Let's be very straightforward. So it's mandatory to understand the flow. So in order to understand the flow, you should know what exactly you're doing. Okay, now this is what DevOps all talks about. What are the benefits of DevOps? Predictability, maintainability, reproducibility, greater quality to the market, time to market, reduce risk, cost efficiency, and resiliency. These are few things, few benefits which you will be getting once you start working as a in a DevOps culture. Okay, so this is all about the theory, guys. So in this theory, there are a couple of things we have talked about. Mostly we spoke about the methodology, how this Scrum, Agile, Lean, Kanban differs from DevOps, and how they together work together and form a very good software development and maintenance ecosystem through which you'll be able to achieve your desired results. Now this loop which you have seen, this is a DevOps loop, and the same loop is supported by Azure DevOps. Now whatever you see, the planning, you can do the planning in Azure DevOps. You can have your your code management done in Azure DevOps. You can do your build in Azure DevOps. You can do your testing in Azure DevOps. You can do a release in Azure DevOps, you can deploy in Azure DevOps. The operational work and the monitoring, you can even integrate third-party tools with Azure DevOps to do the same thing. So this complete loop is something supported by Azure DevOps. Hence, so as I said earlier, Azure DevOps is nothing but it's a big umbrella wherein you can do everything inside one umbrella. You don't have to jump on and look for third-party applications, plugins and things like that. Everything is there inside one umbrella which you can work with. Okay. So Azure DevOps is the union of people, process and products to enable continuous delivery and add value to the end users. Okay. With Azure DevOps, you can plan smarter, collaborate better, and deliver reliable software faster with set of modern services. Okay. Now these are the important components in Azure DevOps. Azure boards, basically wherein you can maintain your work items. Azure repos, this is nothing but your Git repository management. Azure pipelines will have your build and release, and there are multiple other things which Azure pipeline has it. Test plan, this is where you can create test plans for yourself. Azure artifact, this is something wherein you can store artifact. Okay, so these are the important components. There are other things also in Azure DevOps, but these are 5 important components which you will come across. Okay, keeping this in mind, there are 4 processes which you can set in Azure: Basic, Scrum, Agile, CMMI. What exactly these are, we'll understand that in a bit. From that, let me open this work item reference. Okay, before I jump on and explain you all this, let's go back and create a project on Azure DevOps. Okay, let me use this account Mela DevOps. So this is the project which we have created, guys. Now when we created this project, I have selected Git and I have selected a work item Basic over here. If you go into settings, if you see the process which I have selected, it is Basic. And let me tell you, once you select a process, the process cannot be changed. If you want to change the process, you need to delete the complete project and need to redo it. So whatever process you have selected, that will remain as it is. You cannot change the process. Just keep that in mind. Now what exactly this Basic is? Now if you see this diagram, Basic has 3 important tags: epic, issue, task. Now what is epic, what is issue, what is task, we'll understand with a very easy example of shopping website application. Now think of your team is working on a project. It's a shopping website which you guys are creating. Now when you're creating a shopping website, what all things will be your backlog, like what all modules you will be creating. Let's talk about that. So you'll have modules such as product page module, wherein you will have all your product listed. You will have modules such as authentication and authorization module. You will have modules such as shopping cart module. You will have modules such as payment gateway module. These are all modules, correct? Okay. These are all modules which you will come across. So this is, imagine you're building a microservice application. So each module should be built separately. Now these are the modules which you will go and create for yourself if you want to build a shopping website application. From where did you get this module? This is the client requirement, guys. Your product owner will reach out to the client. He got the requirement, and all these are the initial modules which you have got from the client. All this module which is there at the very top level, this is known as epic. Okay, so basically these are epics which will be created. These are all top level modules which is eventually building block of your application. Okay, So that comes as a epic, and it is known as portfolio modules. These are all your portfolios which you're creating. So this is also known as portfolio backlogs. Now product backlog is again a sub module. Now when you talk about product page module, the product page module will have sub modules such as child product page, men product page, women product page, grocery page, electronics page, mobile page. There are multiple pages which you will be creating if you're building a shopping website. That becomes your product backlog, what product you're creating, and that is the issue. So this basic is very straightforward. You'll not have much into this basic. So it has only 3 tags: epic, which has the high level backlogs created, that's known as portfolio backlog. Issues will have some sub level backlog, and task is something a developer will be creating once they start working on this module. So for example, if I break this child product page, what could be the task? Designing the child product page, developing the product page, giving filter options in the product page. So all these become the task on which the actual developer will start working on it. Okay, so basic is basically, this process is for only for testing, guys. If you have 1 or 2 developers who are working on a very small and minute project, and if you want to have some kind of work item management done, so you can go with basic. This is not at all recommended for a small scale, mid scale or large scale project, because it doesn't have much options in it. Okay, now let's come back to the other part, Scrum. Now in Scrum you got multiple things. You have 3 categories. You have portfolio backlog category, you have backlog category, and you have issue tracking, and plus you have configurable, wherein you can do bug tracking. So this is a full-fledged work item management process which you can select for, wherein you have epic and feature which is taking care of your portfolio backlog. Now in this case, what will be the epic? This is the epic, and these becomes the features. Now if you see, this becomes your product page module, becomes an epic when you're building a shopping website. This becomes the feature, that is your portfolio backlog. When you come to the actual backlog, this is known as PBI. Now this PBI is nothing but will be these. When you start working on child product page, you will have design child product page, developing product page. This becomes a PBI, and this is something will be assigned to the developers. That some developer is working on designing the product page, some developer is actually developing the product page, some developer is adding some filter option to it, some developer is adding some other things to the pages and things like that. Some is writing the code, some is testing. All this becomes PBI for you. That's a product backlog item. This is the PBI which will be assigned to the developers. Now the questions, you should ask question like, who will be creating all this epic feature, all this backlog? Because this backlog is a huge task, guys. Whenever you're working on any application, if you have a rightly defined backlogs, then you are heading in a right direction. And if you don't have a backlog created, then you don't know what you're doing next. Okay, so you should have the right backlogs created beforehand, and this is all done by Scrum Masters. They will create this epic, they will create this feature. The way I have segregated things, they will be the person who will be segregating things for you, and they will be creating these PBIs, and they will be assigning the PBIs to the developers, and the developers will start working on it. Now suppose then the developer will start creating tasks for themselves. Now the task, how the task will look like suppose you're taking up design child product page. Now this is, you will spend time doing R&D, you will spend time coding, you will spend time testing, you will spend some time implementing. Now this is the place where your number of hours get captured. In the task section, you will be defining that, okay, for doing R&D I need at least 2 hours of time in my daily. For coding I'll need more 2 hours. For testing I'll need more 2 hours. So this is how you will be defining your hours over here. So this PBI, when the PBI will be assigned to you, at that time your Scrum Master will ask you how much time will you take to complete this PBI. Now you will go and check what exactly the PBI is, and then you will come to a conclusion. Okay, I'll need this 3 days. Now this 3 days is nothing but it's 3 story points which you are asking for. Story points equal to 1 day. One story point equal to 1 day. Just keep that in mind. Okay. So you'll say that I need 3 story points. This is how these are the jargons which you will come across when you start working in such process. PBI, story points, and all this. Now this is your responsibility for creating task. This task part, this section is your responsibility. You will be creating tasks and you will be keeping your numbers. Because if you don't keep numbers, at the end of sprint, your number of working hours will be 0. So always create tasks, whatever you're doing, and put in your hours, like what exactly you have done. This becomes like eventually at the end of the sprint, when the sprint review, and more importantly when we have a sprint retrospective meeting, at that time this hours will be demonstrated to the clients that we have spent this much of hours creating this module. So this is very important. Okay, now coming to the other section, this is portfolio backlog, this is backlog. Now there are two other sections: issue tracking and configurable. Now can anyone tell me the difference between issue and a bug? What is a issue and what is a bug? Let me give you an example. Now I have a website, shopping website, and my home page itself is not working. Is it a issue or is it a bug? When I click on the home page, nothing is getting displayed.
Issue.
I'll say that is issue.
It's a issue. Now let me give you a different example. I have a child product page. Now when I go to the child product page, at the left hand side I have a filter option, and when I'm trying to filter something, I'm not getting the desired result. Is it a issue or is it a bug?
That's a bug.
Good. So can you define issue and bug for me in a simple layman term? Not a typical definition, but in a simple layman term, what could be a issue or what could be a bug?
So an issue can set to be, for instance, you're trying to access like a website
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting maybe like 504 or you can't reach the server. That can set to be an issue to be fixed. So maybe you're on a page and you're trying to put something in a cart and you can't access. Maybe you want to put 2 items, 3 items, or something like that. That we can set to be a bug.
Perfect. Anyone else wants to add something? No one? Okay. Can I say an issue is something is impacting the clients, and bug is something could be a potential issue in future? Can we say it this way? So yes, guys, a bug may be or may not be a potential issue in a future. What could be a bug? What are the bugs? So like suppose if you're using any packages in your code which is already obsolete and you're still using it, there could be any there could this package could be a potential issue in your future. Okay, or if you're using any outdated plugins, okay, which has not been updated and it's outdated, this could be a potential issue in the future. Okay, now that is what bug is all about. Or there is a piece of code which is not been utilized and still there in your application, could be a backdoor entry for, and it could be a security concern, and it could be a possible issue in the future. Those are bugs. And I gave an example: a feature you have created and the feature is not doing what is expected because of some bug related issue. And on the other hand, issue is something wherein your application itself is down. As I said, shopping website and your home page is not responding. Just imagine Amazon.com homepage is down. Just think of the impact, the revenue impact, the client and people hitting that, trying to access that page. So the impact, we can't even calculate that kind of impact I'm talking about. So this is a issue. An issue is something needs to be fixed then and there. Leaving aside everything, everyone is working on fixing the issue. Bug is something could be taken care in the future, like how we have a release cycle, and if I want, we have identified that there is a bug. This is a potential bug which can hamper our application. It could slow down my application, it could have a number of issues on my application. So this is something we need to fix it in the next release. So this is can be averted and this can be taken care in the next release cycle. Okay, but if you get an issue, no, then stop everything, start working on the issue. That is what, so that is the reason we raise P1 tickets. So if you work in ticketing world, ITIL process, a bit of ITIL process, then in ITIL we got P1 tickets wherein a high priority ticket is created and everyone jumps to the P1 call and we start working on that issue. Okay, so ITIL is nothing but it's again a methodology. It's information technology infrastructure library. It's again a method through which all this ticketing and everything happens. Change management, request management, ticketing management. So this is all you will learn in ITIL. So if you are working in an operational or support role, you will definitely need ITIL knowledge in order to succeed. Okay, over there it is defined what is P1, what is P2, what is P3, what is P4, and what are the time duration. P1 should be for 4 hours, P2 should be for 16 hours, 24. All these are set in this process. So basically again it's a methodology for support and operational work. Okay, so that is ITIL for you. Okay, so in this Scrum you have issue tracking. So if you get anything as issue, so you can have that an impediment created, and if you have any bug, then there's a bug which you can create for tracking what is the progress of. So what exactly this epic feature and all, why exactly you're creating, this is all your work item and this is for your tracking purpose, where exactly you are standing right now. Okay, so this is eventually at the end of the day you will be going and looking onto these boards and finding out how many PBI was created, how many PBI got closed, what is the progress of the project, where are we right now, what was the amount of development has been completed, how many backlogs are pending, how many backlog needs to be taken care in the next sprint. All this planning will happen using by seeing this board. Okay, so this is not just for a namesake, this plays a very important role in complete software development lifecycle. Okay, this is Scrum. So if you follow Scrum, these are the naming convention and you have to follow the Scrum loop. Same if you go and see Agile is exactly the same how the Scrum looks like. The only difference is the naming convention. In the backlog we don't call it as PBI, in Agile we call it as user stories, and issues we don't call it as impediments, we call it as issues, a simple issue over here. Everything else remains same. Now what is the difference I told about Scrum and Agile? The number of sprints. In Scrum it is minimum 1 sprint, maximum 4 sprint. In Agile minimum 2 iterations. Change in words guys. In Scrum we call it as sprints, in Agile we call it as iterations. So whenever there is a word iteration used, just keep in back of your mind that you guys are following Agile. Okay, and whenever there is a word sprint used, then it is Scrum. Okay, and whenever we use the word user story, it's Agile. Whenever we use the word PBI, it's Scrum. Keep that in mind. Now the way of doing is exactly the same. The calling, the flow, the Scrum flow, doing a sprint call daily, all these are exactly the same. The only thing is Agile is more relevant to larger project wherein you want a bigger iteration. Like you want 4 weeks, 8 weeks iteration, at that time you'll be using Agile. Rest everything remain as it is, no difference at all. Okay, keep that in mind. Now the fourth process is a CMMI process. That's a capability maturity model integration. Again, if you see the top two tier, portfolio backlog and backlog, this is exactly the same epic features. The only difference is you call it requirement over here. Okay, in Scrum we were calling PBI, in Agile we were calling user story, and in backlogs we are calling requirement. What's the question? This is all created by Scrum Masters, Kishore. The backlogs and everything will be created by the Scrum Master. So this is a good to go, good to have knowledge for you guys. Okay, now the third tier, if you see, it has more things. As if now we were just tracking issues. Now this got change management, risk management, all this thing it got. Now this change management and risk management is basically taken it from the ITIL, guys. So if anyone knows ITIL, so this is this topics, change management, risk management, is taken out from ITIL. Now why exactly they have included this in software development? Now there could be a project, there could be companies wherein they don't want to spend additional money on getting ITIL tools, and they're using Azure DevOps, so they can have this change management and everything getting tracked with along with your software development. So if you have any such requirement, any such project wherein you want to track change management, risk management also, then CMMI is the model, integration model, which you can select. But let me tell you, till this date I have not seen any project who are using CMMI, because they don't want to mix up things, so they want to keep things separate. Software development is done using Scrum or Agile, and the operational support, P1 P2 and all this change management and risk management, it's done through ITIL tools. But as of now I have not seen it. But yeah, if you have any project wherein you want to have something additional, change management, risk management done, then you can make use of this CMMI model. Okay, now why do we need to know all this? So this is a good to know knowledge firstly. Secondly, if you are working in a project, a small project, just imagine, and there is no Scrum Master, then most of the time they will reach out to DevOps engineers to do work item management also. So in such cases you should have a bit of knowledge what exactly this process are, what is epic, what is feature, what is PBI, and all this you need to know. So it's a good to know knowledge. Plus, even though if you have a Scrum Master, as I said earlier, Scrum Master is not technically advanced. You need to guide him, you need to tell him how things are done. Okay, not from the theory perspective, from the technicality you need to guide him. So he may reach out to you. So let me tell you one thing from experience. If anything happens, if they want to do anything in the project, whether it is copying a simple file, or doing a advanced automation, or creating a user story, and if they need any sort of help, DevOps engineer is the first person to whom they will reach out to for anything. It's not even relevant to your profile. Let me tell you, it's not even relevant to your profile, and they will reach out to you asking, can we do this? Okay, that kind of expectation everyone will have from DevOps engineer. And now you need to filter out what to take, what not to take. It's not blindly you will, whatever your manager will say, you will just simply go and start doing it. No, you have to filter out what is your responsibility, what needs to be done, what you can do. It's not that you will leave your core project, and if anyone comes and asks you for some sort of automation help, and you start doing his work. No, you have to have a clear definition of your roles and responsibility and a clear border created for yourself. Keep this in mind. Okay, so this is all about theory, guys. This document is already uploaded on the drive for your access. Now this project is of no use because this has basic. If you go into the work items, and if you see at the top, it has only three things: epic, issues and tasks, which is very minimum. This is something we'll not be using it, but I want this naming to be DevSecOps 1. So let me copy this name and let me delete this project. So as I said, once the process is set, you cannot change it, and you can recover your deleted also by just doing a restore. Okay, or if you're not doing a restore, then it will get deleted permanently after 28 days. Just keep that in mind. Okay, let's create a new project. Now when you come to this advanced section, version control, get TFVC, and the work item process by default it is basic. If you want to change, you can change to Agile, basic, CMMI and Scrum. So I'll be selecting Agile. Agile and Scrum is very same, so let's stick with Agile and select Agile. Now I'm creating a new project with Agile project. Now when you create a project, this is what you see. Okay, all your project related boards information will start popping up over here. As soon as you start filling up things in your project, things will start popping up over here. Your project statistics, this statistics is nothing but your build and release pipeline status will start popping up over here. And this is your team members. So a group is also getting created while you create this project. A group is also getting created, and inside that group you can start adding users. How to add users and things like that, we'll talk about that later. For now, let's focus on this. Now there is a dashboard. Now dashboard, you can add widgets. Okay, so why do you need the widgets? So this is not for you, this is basically for your team and for your stakeholders. Now suppose there are how many user stories are pending. Now this is Agile, so in Agile we have user stories, correct? How many user stories we have completed in this sprint? All this, if you want to check, how do you check it? You should have some kind of dashboard which you can demonstrate. Being a DevOps engineer, you can go and run query and you can check it. I'll show you how to run queries and all later. But will your product owner will go and run queries for you? Will he go and check? Will your stakeholders will go and run queries? How will they come to know like what is the percentage of user story got completed? So this is a dashboard, a good looking dashboard you should create. I'll always suggest you should create and keep it and share it with your stakeholders. Okay, and this is also good for your other developers. So what could be the dashboard? You can have a work item dashboard, you can have your build pipeline, how many percentage of build is successful, how many percentage of build has failed, and things like that, like build history if you want to know. So these are the widgets which you can, good looking widgets you can select, like assign to, what are the number of tasks assigned to yourself if you want to check yours. And there are many, number of pull requests, how many pull requests was created, and sprint burn down chart, sprint capacity. There are many. If you find anything missing, you can go to the extension gallery. This is basically will take you to the marketplace, and if you think anything is missing, you can go and install it from here. There are things available which you can go and install. Okay, now this is what your dashboard will look like. So as if now there's nothing, but let me show if I can show you some of my older project. Wait. Okay, these are the projects. So let me open any of this. See how your project will look like. So in this project I got JavaScript and CSS applications, and from last 7 days there's no work item. If I go to last 30 days, still there's nothing, because this is a quite old project which I'm showing you right now. If you go and look into my dashboard, this is how it will look like. 6 tasks, 4 epic, 9 feature. This is about my pipelines. This is about the stories. This is a burn down chart. This is how the query chart will come. There are 7, 3 closed, 2 resolved, 1 new, 1 active. So this is how your dashboard should look in reality. Hence this is very important from if you want to showcase something like what exactly this project is all about and what all things you're doing. So this is how you can have this dashboards created. Okay, so that is what, as if now in this project, this is a new project, we don't have anything, so I'll just keep it as it is. Later we'll fill this up. Now there's one more tab called Wiki. Wikipedia is Wikipedia, we are all aware, correct? Okay. What do we have at the Wikipedia? The white pages, the information regarding any topic. If you want to know more about any topic, you go in on the wiki and you go through the pages. That is what wiki is all about. Why do you have, so this is a Wikipedia for your project. This is a Wikipedia for your project. Now why do you need this? Now you are creating so many things. You are creating a repository, you are creating the branching and merging strategy, you are creating the build strategy, you are creating the release strategy, you will be training the developers, and there are so many white papers yourself you're creating for your project. So this is the best place to keep everything at one single location. You don't have to use a file share or a Confluence page and things like that. You can keep everything inside the project. Like suppose if you're giving training to someone, a set of developers, okay, and now there are new developers who is joining in, so you will end up, if you don't have a proper documentation, you will end up giving training to everyone, and you will become a trainer. Forget about DevOps engineer, you'll definitely become a trainer if you give training to so many people. Okay, and that's not your core responsibility. So you just give training to few people, have the right documentation created, put it in the right location, and whenever some newbies joins in, just share the link that there's a documentation in wiki, go and access it and go through the process and project. Or whenever you are setting up any process and you're taking a go ahead from all the stakeholders, you need to have a proof for yourself, correct? So you can put it in the wiki for reference. Like if tomorrow down the line, if someone comes in, oh, we have not asked you to set this process, you can show the wiki page also. So this is what wiki page is all about. This wiki page is basically you can use all the sort of HTML taggings, you can attach hyperlinks, you can attach attachments and things like that. So you can have a home page created, and in this you may also use all this HTML tags. Welcome to my project. You can use tables, so there are so many things you can do, I cannot even define those tags, and there are many things. So you can have this home page created. Whenever you come to wiki, this is how it looks like. Welcome to my project. If you want to create a sub page, you can add a sub page. You want to attach something to it, you can also attach something to it. If you want to use HTML taggings done, you can do that. See this is how you can create your own wiki page for your project. Okay, keep this in mind. These are very small topic, dashboard and wiki, but this comes very handy when you start working on any project, because if you are having a right information at the right place, it will save more time. Okay, there's some question. Is the DevOps engineer responsible? Which
No, no,
question
no.
are
The
you
above
asking?
question before I ask
Responsible.
that, I got clear.
Wiki creation
Yeah,
or
I'm the one
Wiki?
raising my hand. Yeah. Regarding
Okay.
this QE, yeah, is it kind of like a
Okay.
personal
Yeah.
project or documentation you're going to be putting there, or is this something that documentation that has to do with the company, such as putting documentation in Confluence? I can really understand that part. Yeah.
This wiki is basically not for personal.
What about
This
the
is for the
Confluence?
project related documentation. You can put it over here. Confluence is also exactly the same thing. Like in the Confluence, what you do, you create any page for yourself which you can share across, and wherein you can even see how you want to use it. It's up to you. If you are the DevOps engineer who is managing this entire project, so if you want something personal to keep, personal, what will exactly be the personal? It will be related to the project only. You will not keep your salary slip or resume over here. Okay. So whatever you keep, it will be related to the project. Whether you
Okay.
want to share it with others or not, it's a totally different story. Okay. But yeah, so this is more, the wiki page is more like your Confluence page only. Confluence page becomes a third party page. Okay. Now if someone is asking for project documentation, you either give a Confluence page or you can ask him the project documentation is updated in the wiki itself. So they can go in the wiki and they can check it. And if you have uploaded everything on Confluence, you have to additionally give a link, a third party link, and you need to additionally give access to that link, or read only access. There are many, you need to manage users over there, you need to give access and things like that, wherein if the person has access to this project, a read only access also, he can go and read your wiki page. So how you want to manage? So every company will have a Confluence page. They will have this Azure DevOps also. So many companies, I've seen many companies, they are using Azure DevOps, but they are not using Azure DevOps at the full potential. They are using all third-party tools, like for work item management they're using Jira, and just for the namesake, for building pipeline they're using Azure DevOps. Okay, and for repository management they're using GitHub. So it's not about tools. As I said, DevOps is not about tools. How the process is defined, how the people are working together, that is the important factor. Many company I have seen wherein this they call themselves as a DevOps just because they're using cloud, and some of here and there they're using some DevOps tools and they call themselves that they are following DevOps. That is not DevOps, correct? We all know. So again, up to you how you're using it. If you want to use Confluent, that's totally fine. If you want to use Wiki is something I'll definitely recommend. The reason is everything is there inside one umbrella. You're not jumping here and there to find out things. If you have all your project related documents at one single location, then yes, this is
Yeah, I
what you
totally
should
get it
do.
now. This is my first time
Okay,
hearing about the
makes
wiki. That
sense?
is why I was a little bit confused with that. But yeah, I got it.
No, no problem, no problem. Okay, so we don't have much time. I wanted to start with this boards topic. Now, this boards, if you go and see at the very top, the work item, these are divided into work item, boards, backlog, sprints. Don't get confused with sprint. This is just a naming convention. This is Agile itself. Queries and delivery plans. So, and if you see in the new work item, you can see epic feature. You got user stories, then you got tasks, then you got bug, and you got test cases and things like that. So tomorrow we'll start with epic creation. We'll start with this epic field creation. I'll walk you through how the epics are created. Then later I'll show you how do we. I'll be using one of my existing project. So I'll using something from here because I need a good amount of data, frankly. In order to explain you things, I need all these data, and I will not go and create all this manually. So what I'll do, I'll migrate this complete data what you see over here to this project. So it's kind of a migration, a small migration. I'll show you how do we migrate from existing work item from a different project to a different project. And this migrations comes very handy. Why? Because we all know this Azure DevOps started in 2019. Before that it was Team Foundation server, and Team Foundation, if you have worked on Team Foundation, it is very similar to Azure DevOps. It has work items like this and all. And nowadays there are n number of projects in the market wherein they are migrating things from Team Foundation to Azure DevOps, and during the migration process they are even migrating their work items. Okay, so you may end up working on such migration project. So if you have knowledge how to migrate work items, then it is an added advantage. So this is something we'll do it tomorrow. We'll go through each and every types first, what are the fields and how it is created and things like that, and later I'll show you the migration. Okay guys, that's it for today. If you have any questions, please do let me know, or else we can wind up the call for today. Any questions? Anyone raising hand? No one. It's there. Yes, it's already uploaded in the drive. If you go and see the yesterday's recording, then you will find the
Okay, I'll check it out.
documents also there in the same folder. Ahmed. Okay. And one more thing guys, yesterday's recording has some issues. So I have uploaded a video from my previous batch. It's the same thing. So if you find the naming, there's some different namings in the batch, so don't worry, it's from my previous batch.
Rohit, one question. Azure DevOps is introduced in
Anything
2019.
else? No, it was there still very long, but the name, it was not known as Azure DevOps. It was known as Team Foundation Server. Then they acquired GitHub. Microsoft acquired GitHub in 2019, and they revamped TFS completely, and they renamed it to Azure DevOps. So it's not a new tool, but the naming has changed. It was an old tool. If you have worked on TFS was very slow, very sluggish, and that's the reason many people don't even know what is TFS, frankly. Now when they acquired Git first, when they migrated, so it's a drastic change, because I have worked on TFS also. I have created pipelines on TFS also. I know how sluggish and how difficult it was to work on TFS. Now when they moved everything on Azure DevOps, there's a drastic, it's a 100% optimization what they have done. Microsoft has done a very great job, and by this Azure DevOps, to be very frank. Okay, so yeah, so if you ask me, it's quite a new tool after the migration, but within this new 3-4 years of duration, it has overtaken all other CI/CD tools in the market. Okay, yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much guys. Let's meet tomorrow, and let's start with work item management, and let's see how work items are created and how do we manage the work item. Okay, thank you very much.